Hey everybody, I'm Crystal Crawford, certified facilitator with Access Consciousness, and I'm hanging out today with Maggie Schlarb.
Hey.
Maggie. Hi. And holy crap, Maggie, what are we creating today? What is this hangout about?
Yeah, what are we creating? We're creating money fast.
Empires, is that what we're creating?
Empires, yeah, what else are we creating?
Empires, universes, new realities, and money, because money's fun.
Money,
and we really
yes.
like it. Yeah, so thank you so much, you guys, for hanging out with us today. This is my first hangout ever, so welcome to the deflowering of my hangout skills. And yeah, so we just really wanted to invite you to play with us this hour in some tools that both Maggie and I have really chosen, just kind of discovered and then chosen, that seem to be working really, really, really well for creating and receiving money fast. And one of the things I really became aware of is that money seems to be the one thing where people stop themselves quicker than anything. You know, it's like if there's going to be a story or a reason or a justification for not creating or for not choosing, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be money. So what I'd like to introduce you to first, in case you weren't familiar with Access Consciousness, is the clearing statement. Because one of the things I'd like to do is destroy and uncreate everywhere where we've bought that money can limit us, stop us, keep us from moving in any way. Would you like to destroy and uncreate that with me, Maggie?
Yes, please.
Awesome. And the clearing statement goes right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And you can look it up online at www.theclearingstatement.com. But just know that it's an energetic magic wand that basically pulls the bottom card out from the energetic house of cards that we bought as real and as a limitation. Cool. So now that that's out of the way. So yeah, I mean, like, and people keep asking me, because I've been on this, and Maggie, I will let you talk, I swear, but I've been on this, kind of a 6-month whirlwind spin of creation. And I have a lot of people asking me, like, how did you do that? Like, what are you doing that's different? And how are you doing that so fast? And for me, it's just been kind of like, well, that's just the way I've always lived my life. I've always chosen fast. I've always created fast. I've always been like the spontaneous, impulsive, like I'll jump into anything at any time with anybody. And for most of my life, I made that really, really wrong. And it was once I started coming to Access Consciousness and going to classes with Gary and Dean that they started talking about your wrongness being your strongness. And that being the strength that actually creates. And so I started looking at it from a totally different point of view and acknowledging that for most of my life, I really have been following the energy. I've just allowed everybody else's points of view to tell me that I haven't been and that it was wrong and that I should have taken more time. Is any of that true for you, Maggie? Like, what is it? I mean, I don't know. I just keep looking over my life, and I'm like, I think I was actually better at following the energy and creating from it than I ever knew.
Yeah, me too. And it's been this kind of, for me, how I viewed it as my knowing, that I would just know something, and I wouldn't have words or an explanation to tell anybody why I know that. I would just know that that's what was required, you know. And yeah, it's been there, and yeah, I've let other people, so many people, decide that I was wrong, and then I've decided I was wrong, and in the past, and now I'm realizing how potent that really is.
Yeah, and for me, it was like the first kind of steps were to acknowledge that I was better at that than I ever knew, and that it was actually a capacity. So for all of you guys watching, if you just take a second and look back over your life at all the places where you did actually follow the energy and you did actually know something that you didn't acknowledge that you knew, that actually did create very quickly for you. Would you be willing to destroy and uncreate everywhere where you've created unawareness around your own brilliance?
Yes.
And everything that is. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Yeah. Oh, that feels really good.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's not running on me at all. So I don't know, like it started with kind of acknowledging that there is brilliance there already, and that there has been brilliance there, and that it's just been covered up with points of view and feeling like I'm wrong and trying to do it the way everybody else does it. So once I started to acknowledge that, then I started paying closer attention to the way it is I did create. And it is very, very super effing fast. It's fast. And I was slowing myself down. And so once I started allowing myself to start creating at the speed I actually functioned at, things actually started getting created, including money. But it was as soon as I allowed myself to function at that speed. So all the ways and spaces in which we've totally slowed ourselves down to the speed of slug, when in reality we function at the speed of space. Can we destroy and create that?
Yes.
Right, like that hot talk all night shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in realizing like that potency and that capacity of being able to create that quickly, it's like, okay, when I choose this now, I'm being ready for it to show up. I mean, as I choose it more and more, the things that are showing up in this speed, it's a matter sometimes of seconds. It's amazing.
Totally. Yeah, and you and I were talking earlier today about, because I've been watching you and your business and kind of your blooming, I guess, as it were, and I noticed for you that there was a kind of a turning point in some of the choices that you were making and willing to create that changed everything for you. Can you talk about that?
I think so. Yeah, it really was. I mean, it was it was playing with the Access consciousness tools and choosing to play with it. It really was a choice for me of, am I going to do this or not? Am I going to choose, this dream I had, I think it was for 4 years. I sat with it for 4 years, and then it was like, let's choose this, and then I chose it, and then it got a little scary because it showed up. Right?
Yeah,
and then I slowed myself down, backed up, pulled on the reins, and then all of a sudden I was like, heck no, I'm having this. And in a week's time, it was only a short 4 weeks ago, in a week's time, I created a ton of work and, flow for myself. And it was choice for me.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I've been listening to Gary Douglas's Deal and Deliver Telecall, and for those of you in Access, if you haven't chosen that yet, don't do it, because it'll change everything. One of the things he was talking about that really stood out to me was one of the guys was asking him about, Gary and how he creates Deal and Deliver. And Deal and Deliver, for those of you guys that don't know, is this being willing to be aware of, in every transaction, whether it's a relationship or a business transaction or anything, what the actual deal and delivery is. And so Gary was talking about this and how he creates it. And this guy said, it's like you have an unspoken deal and deliver with yourself. And Gary said, yes, I do. And this guy said, well, you know that you will deliver what you say and what you want in life. You know that you'll deliver what you say and what you want in life. And it's like a second deal and deliver that's behind the scenes of every other deal and deliver. And Gary said, no, it's the first deal. I know I'm going to do what I say. I have to find out if other people will. Start with yourself. And that hit me, because it really kind of comes full circle all the way around to a lot of talk that's been going on in Access lately about committing to your life. And I know you and I were talking about this earlier, Maggie, but and that's another class in Access, the Home of Infinite Possibilities, that you could choose to get a full conversation about that. But it's like, this whole committing to your life thing, I did not realize until probably about 2 months ago that I had a back door open in every area of my life, and that I had forever. I mean, growing up in my family was really abusive. My parents fought a lot. I was the oldest of 5 kids. There was sexual abuse, and I mean, you could walk in the house and literally not know what was going to go down. So I was always in the state of alert and awareness that at any moment I was going to have to flee. And that could look any which way. That could look like fleeing to my bedroom. That could look like fleeing outside the house. It could look like running to a friend's house. Or it could look like defending my siblings. But I was ready for the trauma. And what that created for me was, as I was getting into the job force and everything, was I would go into a job And I would be aware of, yes, they're paying me this, and yes, I'm making this much money, but I know there's always more money, and I'm always willing to leave a place to go find more money. And I would stay at a job about 3 months until I found the other place that paid me better, and then I would jump ship and go there. And I think part of that was awareness, but part of that was just like, I will always have a back door. And it was the same in my marriages. It was like, if this doesn't work out, I always had a backup plan. As soon as I was aware that the relationship was failing, I created a backup plan. And I think there was a lot of strength in that, and it did get me to a certain point and a lot of survival skills. But it was just surviving. It wasn't actually the choice to thrive. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until this last year where I looked at that, I really honestly looked at that, and I was like, wow, I'm still choosing to just survive in most of my life. I'm not actually choosing me and what I know is possible and what I know I can create. And when I realized that, it just made a different choice. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm choosing something different. It was an awareness of the different energy that was. That being committed to me and what I know is possible, that energy. And it was like I just made a slight shift into that energy, and I was like, oh. Okay, so if I was truly committed to my life, what would I choose? Mm-hmm. And literally, like, that put me into this state of being that I'd never chosen before. And I know Dane talks a lot about being. You know, he's got all these classes. Dane here with energetic synthesis of being and the symphony of possibilities. And it's always really struck me, but it's not been until recently that I've really gotten how the different spaces of being actually allow you to receive everything that you're being. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was getting when I was watching you and your journey, was like, when you said you made a different choice, you made a shift into a space of being that was now willing to receive way more than you'd ever been willing to receive before.
Yeah, totally.
And when you did that, like, your business exploded. Like, and I get that it's still exploding as you're shifting into more and more willingness to receive the magnanimous universe that actually is just waiting to, like, avalanche stuff on you.
Yeah. And the more I get that it's ready to just avalanche, it's like, okay, bring it. And so the more I step into that space and grow that space bigger, kind of expand in that space, I'm seeing the possibilities even more of what is possible in all my choices. Yeah. And how fast. The speed at which, and I also am very aware of when I put on the brakes too. I can, like, it's palpable when I'm like, ooh, I'm here. Oh, now I'm here. Yeah. So it's a constant choice. It's choosing 10 seconds, like they say. Every 10 seconds. Am I ready to be here still? Am I still here? Or am I back here? Yeah.
Yeah, what is this? What is this? What can I do with it? How can I change it?
Yeah, how can I change it?
What can I change it? And if so, how? Yeah, those 4 questions, don't use those.
Yeah. And so it really is a constant choosing. I mean, that's what it is. And I didn't get that when I first stepped into playing with Access Consciousness Tool, but now I get it. And that 10 seconds, I can go have a little pout and have a little cry if I choose, and then I can step right back into it.
Totally.
If that's what's required, if that's what feels light to me, that's what's required in that moment.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because this journey, I mean, creating fast, there's so many points of view about, creating money fast. There's so many, like, programs out there, and, like, do these 15 steps and follow this formula, and you can create money right away. And actually, those work to a certain degree. They produce results. Mm-hmm. And when I was first starting creating my business, probably really started creating my business like September of last year. I was kind of dabbling until then, But in September, I chose to close my back door. I quit my job because I had other income coming in. So it wasn't just like, oh, I quit my job and just like free falling. I'd already created other income, but I got that. I really got at that moment that quitting my job was going to be a contribution as opposed to a blind faith of, like, oh, if I quit my job, everything's going to be okay, because, you know what I mean? My effort is actually required over here. And where was I going with that?
Your back door, quitting your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally lost my point. Let's talk about that, though. Let's talk about jobs, because I totally don't know where I was going with that now. Because one of the things that I also became aware of is that I have always been willing to do whatever it takes. And Gary talks about that. He's like, I will do whatever it takes to get what it is that I desire. I'm willing to work harder than anybody else. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and I will always get what I desire. He stays in the question, but he's willing to just do and be whatever it takes. And a lot of times I see with people, and you can talk about this too, but I see with people it's like this blind faith and blind hope that everything's going to work out because I'm asking questions and I'm just being the energy, or just, there's this misidentification of what being the energy is that results in a lot of in laziness. And there's been times in my life too where I've been like, okay, am I just being lazy right now? And I'm actually not, willing to go out and put the pedal to the metal and choose something different. Yeah. So, yeah, can we destroy and create like everywhere where we've decided and concluded and chosen to follow blind faith and blind trust as opposed to our own awareness?
Yes.
Remember, good bad podcast, all nine shorts, boys and beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes choosing to leave your job is a contribution to what you're creating, and other times it's freaking time to go get a job. Like there's been periods of time where I require the income from a job to support what it is I'm creating. So yeah, anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. So, but these different spaces of being, like, I remember for me when the light bulb went on about what I was being that was allowing me to receive the amount of money and business that was coming into my universe. Because I was being it and I was receiving it, but I wasn't aware of it. And so at the 7-day in Costa Rica, I asked Dane about that, because he was constantly saying, and Gary constantly says, if you can be it, you can receive it. And I was finally like, what is that? Like, what are you talking about? And so I just stood there and asked that question, and he's like, okay, well, pull up the energy of money for you. Cool. He's like, now be that. And I was like, okay, well, I just am being it right now. He's like, exactly. So when you be it, you can receive it.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh my God, And so now I'm really aware when I shift out of that energy into a different energy of, freaking out or conclusion, or it's not showing up the way I thought it would. And it's like, so now that I, yeah, what do you know about that?
Well, here's what I know, because up until really in September when I chose to be like, okay, it's time. Before that, I was always most of the time being in the energy of I was always being taken care of. I always had someone that would take care of me. And so I was that energy. No matter what happened, no matter how much I swiped a credit card or, spent during while I was in school, someone else helped me out. I didn't have to worry. And I got to the point of like, no, that's not okay with me. Like, it's cool. I was able to create a lot, through other people. And it was choosing to start creating for myself. So because what that did, being in the energy of not creating for myself, took me to a place where I had a whole bunch of doors open. It wasn't being me. I wasn't showing up the way I can. Yeah. Yeah, and so since then, it's been rocking my world in various ways, and it's awesome. And it has been uncomfortable in that it's a new sensation. It's a new way of being for me. And uncomfortable in a really fun, comfortable way.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's like, bring it. Oh, okay, bring it.
Yeah, because one of the things that I've been on I don't even know, what day is it? It's February. So I started a journey about the middle of December where I chose a big class out in Venice, Italy. and I had one out of the 7 required prereqs, and I got, when I chose it, that it was a really big choice, and I didn't understand, what I was choosing, and all I knew I just knew that I had to be there. And this is what I just want to segue here for a second, because as I'm talking about this is what I'm getting, that a lot of us don't pay attention to it. Because there's a lot of awareness that I follow, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have a conclusion about how I'm going to pay for it, or how it's going to show up, or even where I'm going to be living, or and like this class, this choosing of this class meant an investment of tens of thousands of dollars, maybe, quite a bit. And I didn't have it. I had some of it, and I'd created some of it, and I got that, that was going to get me started, and I also got that if I chose this, there was going to be a demand in my universe to create. There was not going to be any more options, because choosing that meant that I was committing to my choice, I was committing to my life, I was committing to what I knew, even when I didn't have any explanation for what I knew.
Yeah.
And that was it. I wasn't committing to an end result. I wasn't committing to what would come afterwards. I wasn't committing to what that would create for me. I didn't know any of that. I just had a knowing that I had to be there. So all the places where we have refused to follow the whispers of our knowing, that actually give us all of the information and all of the clarity and all of the ease that we've been desiring, and create for us faster than anything else. Can we destroy it and create that?
Yeah.
Right, we're going to give back my clock on my insurance with me. Because in this reality, we're taught to have a goal and to have basically to have a conclusion. It's like, well, I want to go to that class. Okay, well, why do you want to go to that class? And what's it going to create for you? And how does that contribute to your business plan? And does it contribute? And is the investment worth the return? And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in this world of energy, what I'm getting, and that's what this all is, it's like creating us into these beautiful, receiving radio towers that are aware. And because at our root, at our base, we're energetic beings. Mm-hmm. Like, we're not actually this skin, this makeup and this pimple, we're actually like, we're actually energy, and our matter is kind of formed itself into this beautiful shape that is our body. And thank you so much, body, because you give me so much amazing information. But at the root of us, we're energetic. Mm-hmm. And so all of these tools of access, like when you're picking up on something that feels wonky, who does this belong to? Lightens everything and returns us back to our space, the space of us, which is this beautiful, like, kind, receiving space of total generosity and, gorgeousness that receives all this information. So,
yeah. And so with that, can you share with everybody who's playing with us and who will be playing with us in the future about the demand? I get the energy of the demand, but for the language, because sometimes I've found when I speak of the demand, that word gets a lot of charge to it.
Totally. Yeah. And oh man, how do you speak to that? I mean, for me, it's been a lot of different things over the years. And so can we destroy and create everywhere where we bought that we don't know what demand is and we don't know how to be it? Mm-hmm. Can we give that talk online Schwartz voice of yours? Because my demand is going to be different than your demand. It's going to look different. It's going to be energetically different. But for me, demand was, I'm having that, and I don't care what I have to do or what I have to be to have it. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of fuck it, I'm doing it. Yeah. Sometimes it includes cuss words, and that makes me happy. But yeah, it's that energy of like, I don't give a good fucking goddamn what I have to do. I'm having that. And it's an energetic shift. It's just like, okay, the universe goes, okay, if that's what you're wanting, that's what I'll deliver. And I mean, there's been many times when I've made that demand and then I've gone out to do my demand, which doesn't really work very well.
To do your demand. Yeah. Did you come to a conclusion?
I totally did. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I'm a multitasker and mover of magnitude. Like, I can get things done better than a lot of people I know. It's like once I choose it, it's like, yeah, fine, done, it's done. I'll get it done. And and I can go into being really tasky and tired and all that stuff. So everything that is, and everywhere we've decided that that's what demand is, and that's how we create what it is we're demanding, can we destroy it and create that?
Yes.
Right, we're going to talk all night, short squares and minutes. Yeah, like what if demand was just this space of total and utter commitment to you and what you know is possible?
Mm-hmm.
And what if you let that energy own you?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what I'm getting I wasn't doing before. I wasn't letting it own me. I wasn't letting it like take over my body, take over what I was choosing, just take me over. And really, like, as I'm sitting here even talking about it, I'm like, wow, like, if I just functioned from this space of my life and my living owning me, what would I choose? What would I create? What would I be able to receive here that I've never been able to receive before? What money is just waiting to fall and tumble into my world? And what can I do or be different to receive and create it right away?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing about question is they open up the energies. They open up your body to receiving the energies. And so like every time you ask a question and every time you become willing to do or be different with the energies that you receive as a result of that question, you can create bigger, faster, greater, instantly.
Yeah, totally.
So everything that brings up, let's just try to create that.
Not create it all. Yeah. Yeah, and yeah. So being that the demand and the demand in choice is, you and I were talking about this earlier. Is that in October I made a choice.
Yes.
That expanded my universe, expanded my financial flows, expanded my business. I made a choice then, and which has like catapulted me to here today, right?
Yeah.
To playing with you, and then along that way, like in realizing, oh, that's really all it takes, is the choice, and and it's the willingness to take the choice of the bigger choices. That was a big choice for me to be a part of something that financially at the time I did not have the money, but I knew it was like, I knew if I chose it, that there's that knowing that, I have no freaking clue where this is coming from, but I absolutely know I have to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it starts to show up instead of like in where I have been in the past, and just as a contrast, like where I have been, and no longer come from is the, oh no, I can't until everything is aligned perfectly.
Yeah. Totally.
And I would still be waiting if that were the case.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about that, waiting till things are aligned perfectly and just waiting. Okay, so everywhere where we've misidentified following the energy as waiting and a total lack of commitment to ourselves, can we just try to create that?
Yeah.
Holy.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the other, something that pinged me while you were talking was one of the things that I had to start acknowledging about me. And one of the things that Gary says, he's like, do you get that your capacity to choose and change and create is a capacity that very few people on the planet have? Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? Like, isn't that something that everybody can choose? Isn't that something that everybody can access? Because, like, I can do it, so why can't everybody else? I don't get it. And he also talked about, like, this whole thing of being superior.
Mm-hmm. And
he was like, so what's more superior? There's the Vespa or the BMW? I'm like, well, BMW is superior. He's like, is it because, is there a judgment about it being superior, or is it just created superior to a Vespa? And it's like, yeah, it just is superior. And that's something that I've had to really look at lately. And when I was finally willing to step into that energy of, I am superior, I just am. It's not about ego or any of the things that this reality tells you. It's not about judgment. It's just an awareness. And I have these capacities, and I'm willing to use them. Within a weekend, my business, exploded. It was, it literally, almost quintupled, if not more. I became so aware that it was me just being willing to step into that energy of, yeah, I am that. So everywhere where we haven't been willing to just be the superior brilliance, generative capacities that we truly be, can we destroy and create that?
Yes.
Yeah, right, run, good, bad, talk, all nine shorts, but beyond.
Yeah.
Just sit here in that energy.
I know. Let's just bathe in that.
Because you know what I get about, like, it's funny, this the title of this hangout, like, creating money fast. You know, people like want the magic. When I was starting to create money, I'm like, what's the magic answer? Can you give me the conclusion and the magic answer that's going to, like, make money show up into my world? Yes. Commit to your life. Be willing to do and be whatever it takes. And what can you do or be different now that will create it for you right away? Okay, there's your magic.
There you go. Done.
Choice, question, possibility, contribution.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's something else too. I mean, it's like it is. It kind of goes back to these different spaces of being, and they're so energetic. And it's like when we're willing to function from these different spaces, like different stuff can show up.
Mm-hmm. I know. I'm in this like, oh yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So when you were, wow. Yeah, what is this energy? Wow, cool. This is going to be a fast hangout about creating money fast.
I know, eh? Get in, get out, done.
Yeah. So, what is it that keeps? Yeah. What is it that holds people back from creating at the speed of space?
I mean, themselves.
What is it that holds you back from creating at the speed of space that you should be? And what is speed of space creation? And how many conclusions do we have about it?
Mm-hmm. And
how much do we compare ourselves to other people's speed of space creation when our speed of space is totally different?
Ooh, I like that.
Everything matters. We destroy it, create it.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, boys and beyonds.
Yeah.
Because your speed of space creation doesn't look like mine.
No. Mm-mm. Totally different. Yeah. Cool.
You know, it's like I've been looking at the differences that we be. Okay, so everywhere where you haven't acknowledged the difference that you be and how vital that is to the whole of humanity, you destroy and create that?
Yes.
All nine shorts, boys and beyonds. I think that's what I'm really getting, that the beauty of this whole thing is that there's, I mean, when you talk about consciousness and you talk about oneness, and all of the tools of access consciousness and all of the tools that you and I play with are to create consciousness, or to create this awareness of who we actually are and what we're actually capable of, and the gift that we be that goes beyond anything we've acknowledged. And consciousness includes everything and judges nothing. And oneness is this whole, we are the drop and we are the ocean. So as the drop, we have all of these individual capacities and gifts and beauty that is the drop. But it's the contribution to the ocean, and then the ocean contributes to the drop, and it's like all of this beautiful, magnificent being that just is. And yet without that drop, the ocean wouldn't be quite what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, I know that's so
Yeah. So what would it take for, everybody playing with us, everybody to be able to see the beauty of their drop and to be welcoming to be a part of the ocean? Yeah. And everything that doesn't allow that, can we destroy and uncreate it all?
Yeah.
Right, wrong, good, bad, POD, POC, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. I had a moment the other day in a NIA class, so a dance movement class, where all of a sudden, my body told me to look up, and I looked in the mirror, and I could, for the first time, I saw everybody in the room in a totally different way. I saw them for their pure beauty, and then I realized, I am part of that. And it was this cool, awesome, like tear sensation. Oh, my body. It was this amazing moment of everybody was like going into themselves in the slower portion of the class, and yet I looked up and everybody's just was beaming brilliantly. And if I wish I could take you there, you know. I mean, I am
You're
energetically
totally there, yeah.
but what would it take to take everybody there? You know, to be able to look up and see. I mean, and to see everybody for their brilliance and their magnificence, and then being in that space, it just creates more and more and more for you and everybody. Like it just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, the thing that's really changed for me this weekend that exploded my business was, I was talking to Dane about, wanting to be, I was wanting more for me, and I was wanting to be like the front person in my business, and I was sensing that there was some unwillingness to be seen, which everybody who watches this is going to laugh at, but and he said, you really don't get the value of what you contribute to people behind the scenes, do you? And I was like, no, I don't get it. And it just introduced me to this different space where I had been like trying to push to be something that I thought I should be and that I thought I should be doing and being, and instead of really fully acknowledging like the beauty of what it was that I was actually contributing. And as soon as I acknowledged that, as soon as I acknowledged like that, I became the choosing one. Like everybody wanted to start working with me, and my money flows changed like in that instant. And exponentialized beyond what I had even thought they could. Like I didn't even know that it could go there. And it was seriously just almost like settling down into the acknowledgement of like, oh, like the beauty that I am already, and that is so easy for me that I don't even think about it, is actually the greatest contribution. And that's what I keep seeing with like the people that I'm playing with in these classes, and like with you and my close friends. It's like the more we actually slip into the beauty that we already be, the more we receive more. Like it's like the universe is going, oh, finally, like you finally get it. You finally see what I've been seeing all along, and you be all the energies that I've been waiting to gift you. And so like here's all the money, and here's all the business, and here's all the happiness, and here's all the ease. And it's like, holy shit, like. And it seriously just like opens my eyes in wonder, and my whole body goes into gratitude, and like it's so much gratitude like over and over and over, and that's the thing about it. It's like the more I can be it, the more I receive it, the more gratitude I am, the more I receive it, the more gratitude I am, the more I receive it. It's like this frickin' scheme for awesomeness that the universe has set up, that all we have to do is be willing to receive.
Yeah.
It's actually crazy easy.
And yeah, it's and we're not taught it
At all.
right? At all. We're taught to give. So receiving, and what I love about what Access talks about, and we've talked about this, like even for anything, is when like being the contribution going both ways. Like as I gift to you my time, you're gifting me your time. It's this two-way thing that opens up more receiving for me, and looking at that as opposed to feeling, oh, I'm giving. It's not like that. And when I'm aware that it's an energetic flow of things going on.
Totally. And the other thing I've become aware of is that there are many, many times where I make a choice to contribute to, just to help out, to contribute to setting up massage tables or whatever, etc., where I just choose to contribute, where as soon as I choose to contribute my time or contribute my whatever to that thing without expectation of anything in return, I become aware of all the possibilities that creates for me. And it's a very different space from functioning from, well, if I give this, then I'll get this. It's more like, I just want to give this, and then all of a sudden my awareness opens up, and it's like, oh my God, that just created all of this. And it's like, holy shit. Like, And for me, that creates this space of like, how much more can I actually give of me? Can I actually just contribute of me? How much more? Because how much more, if I'm willing to give, is the universe waiting to just like flood into my space of receiving? And I watch that too. It's like, even in my business, I was like, the more I'm willing to just contribute free calls or free hangouts, or, you know, just even gifting the memes that you and I have been creating. And thank you for that, by the way. You're brilliant at creating those.
Thank you.
I mean, like, it's like the more we're willing to just put that out there as a total contribution, the more, like, the more I get back, and it shows up in money, it shows up in relationships, it shows up always shows up differently than I thought it would, always, like 1,000% differently. And that's something that really, really I've been getting. It's like, I don't know how these future possibilities that I'm creating with these choices I'm making are going to show up ever. And the more I'm willing to not decide how they're going to show up, and the more I'm willing to not conclude how they're going to show up, the more they show up. And the more I'm like, oh my God, that's like way cooler than I ever thought it could. You know, like, goes so far beyond what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
So, can we just try to create all the decisions and judgments and conclusions that we have created and decided of how these contributions that we be already are going to show up? All right, we're going to go back, pop up online, shorts, boys, and beyonds.
Yeah, and go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
go, it's fine. Yeah, I'm just like...
I was just going to say, just in terms of those conclusions we have, I wanted to, we were talking earlier too about when I first moved here to Durango in September, I made the demand of more money. And it didn't show up the way I expected it to. It showed up in, like, whenever I'd walk into a store when we were buying furniture or even a gift, I would ask how much something was, and the person would go, oh, it's this, but I'll give it to you this for a significant less. And I was like, oh, cool, and that was great in the moment. And then I started to get mad that money wasn't showing up as, like, the bills, you know, the paper bills or something in my bank account. And so I shut it down. And so I completely shut off my receiving to that. And then when I realized that I was doing that, I was like, okay, thank you, universe. I realize now you are gifting me money just in a way that I didn't even, like, foresee, like, didn't even have cognitive that that's how it would show up. And as soon as I was like, okay, I'm done with, like, cutting off my receiving to that, the next store I walked into, I got another discount, like, without even asking for it.
Yeah, and it's like we cut ourselves off from these capacities that we have. Like, one of the things I've always drawn into my universe is somebody that actually wants to totally contribute to me financially, just because they love me, just because, you know, and it hasn't always been a man. Sometimes, like, I have had massive support from a couple of women in my life that have just chosen to support me in that way, and it has gotten me where I am today. And before, I was making that wrong, and like it wasn't a capacity. But what if we all have these individual capacities for creation that don't look like anybody else's capacities? And what if we didn't cut that off? Like, how much do we actually create on a daily basis that we're not acknowledging? Because what I'm starting to get is, like, if I start becoming willing to acknowledge these capacities, it's actually the acknowledgement that expands the capacity.
Totally. Yeah.
So everywhere we've been refusing ourselves acknowledgement for the capacities that we already have in be. Can we just try to create that?
Yes, please.
Right, we're going to go back, pop, all my insurance, boys, and beyonds. And you were talking earlier about expanding, you said something about expanding the space. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, what has that been like for you? And because I get, like, we're both a part of these really cool generative business pods with Heather Nichols. Don't check those out; they're awesome. But and I remember in the beginning, like, she really took us through a lot of exercises, energetic exercises, and then you and I kind of both ran with them in our own way. So, can you talk about expanding that space of being for you and what that is and how you do it?
Yeah, I think I can. Yeah, so expanding the space, I mean, for me, what is that? I mean, it's really choosing to be me and start find those layers, but expanding the space.
Because, you know, we're talking here, and I'm really perceiving, like, the space that you're being. Like,
yeah.
There's
And the energetic, I remember, I think it was the first pod call that Heather did this energetic pull that I had never, I've played with energy before, but not in that way. And it like expanding yourself out beyond your skin. So expanding like I know you can feel me right now. I'm with you right now. And I know like if I can, like my parents can feel me right now. You know, they're tapped in and I'm sending, like I'm expanded that so much. So really I'm in the universe in a really spacious, expanded way. And it's not like touchable. And and so yeah, that's the space, is being, oh, what is it? Can you feel it?
Totally. And what you guys have been watching, what I want to ask you is, would you be willing to be present and tap into the space that we're being?
Yeah.
And then would you be willing to expand out that space into the room that you're in, beyond the room that you're in, into the building, beyond that to past the building, beyond that into the province or the state or the country that you're in, beyond that into the continent, beyond that, beyond the world, into the universe. That is the space of being. That is the space of receiving. And it is truly functioning from that space where there is no problem, there is no limitation, there is nothing that we've made real or solid that can hold you back. That when you choose to function from that space and become aware of that space and keep expanding that space, that you can actually receive everything it is that you desire. So everything that doesn't allow you to be, know, perceive, and receive that space, that is the space of you and your life and your living, would you just join and create that?
Yeah.
Right, and give that pop back on the shirts place beyond. So I don't know about you, Maggie, but one of the things I'm becoming really aware of is that as I've been choosing this new way of being, this new way of creating, the first thing I became aware of is that this is a totally different playground. Like, this is not the playground of conclusion and decision and, you know, this is the way it shows up and I'm working towards a goal. This is the playground of energetics, where the toys and the tools are question, you know, what can I create here that's never been created before? What can I do or be different that I've never been willing to do or be different before? Pardon me, what capacities do I have available to me now that I've never had before? Mm-hmm. It's the playground of choice, where it's like, and choice is so different than I thought it was. Maggie, it's like, even as we're talking now, I'm like, I can feel myself choosing different spaces of being, even as we're talking. It's like, as soon as I become aware of a different energy, I just be it, and that's a choice. As soon as I become aware of a different energy, I be it, and that's a choice. So I can be the energy of the shit I'm picking up on. Totally stressful and doesn't create. Or I can pick up on that energy, go, who does this belong to? Interesting point of view that I have this point of view. Clear out that. And become the space that results as a result of creating that space. And that's a choice. And then possibility and contribution, which is the contribution we were talking about, is really being willing to contribute all that you be to everything that the world and the universe is, and to you, especially you. Like making the deal and deliver it with yourself and going, okay, I'm willing to contribute all that I am to the creation of my life and my living, and I'm willing to be all of that now. Can we just try to create everywhere where we've decided that that's not possible, that we can't do that, that we're not capable enough, and that we could never make that kind of commitment to ourselves because it would mean we were selfish and totally self-centered, and all the decisions and judgments and conclusions and computations that we've made about that. Yeah. Right, we're good at pop on insurance, to be honest. And then possibility, which I'm noticing for me, as I'm willing to receive more of the energy that I be and perceive it and all the sensations that go with it in my body, the more possibilities I'm able to perceive. And the more I'm able to perceive the choices that create the greatest possibilities. And that's a question I've really been playing with when it comes to choosing things. You know, it's like if I've got stuff in front of me where I'm like, I don't know, I don't know what to choose. It's like, okay, first of all, what will the energy of my life be like in 5 years if I choose this thing? And get that energy. And
Yeah.
what will the energy of my life be like in 5 years if I don't choose this thing and get that energy? And making the demand on myself that I always follow the more expansive energy.
Mhm. Yeah.
Even in looking at being willing to do and be whatever it takes. Like, let's just say, your business isn't thriving right now, but you require money. Okay, so if I go out and get a job, what will the energy of my life be like in 5 years? If I don't go out and get a job, what will the energy of my life be like in 5 years? And being willing to follow whichever energy is more expansive, even if it's not necessarily your favorite choice. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But if you were willing to follow the more expansive energy, what would that create for you? And like when I've been willing to just follow that, like it has created faster for me than almost any other freaking tool that I've used. Like, because it goes beyond conclusions of whether or not I have the money for it, whether or not I know how it's going to show up, everything. It just goes beyond all of that into the energy of a thing.
Yeah. Into your knowing. Yeah, for me, into my knowing. And like we mentioned earlier today, being in the question and not questioning ourselves. I think that's really potent for me, is like the not questioning myself on my knowing and just knowing. And then also acknowledging when I stay in the question, and also when I start to question myself, or I allow someone else to question myself, just to acknowledge, okay, I knew, and then I allowed someone to question me, and that's what it was. What choice do I have now?
Yeah, which really gets into like the trusting yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and then trusting myself and being myself. We have a little tiny visitor, I think, for this.
So cute.
Yeah. Yeah, so it really is knowing, in that place of being and knowing and trusting. I mean, the invitation, I love your invitation for everybody to tap into what we're being right now. And I wonder if you want to share more about being and something that's coming up.
Thank you. Yeah, totally. Because I created this telecall that's called The Beauty of Being. And I really got when I created it that I wasn't using enough practical words for what it is and what it actually creates. Yeah, bring Felix up. Maybe he wants to
come here. Do you want to say hello?
To join the party.
You want to come in? Look, there's Crystal.
Hi, Felix.
Look, there we go. You can join in. We're having just a little conversation.
And that's, what I love about kids, and this is something that I noticed in class too, is kids just be. Felix just is.
Oh, he truly just is. He just, and in maybe even 10 seconds from now, he just is something else he's chosen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's a choice, and then it's a different choice, and then it's a different choice. And it's like, how much does Felix create by just being himself? He's got you as a slave. He's got your husband as a slave. He's totally taken care of. Like all of his needs and requirements are met. And it's just by being him.
I want to go for you.
Exactly.
Here, hop over there, and I'll be off in a few minutes. Okay, buddy?
And that's the beauty of being. It's like it's like when we're just being ourselves, how much can we actually receive? Like he's just now receiving the care that he requires from your husband and from you, because you're so aware of what he's being, right? And how much does the universe respond to us when we just choose to be all that we are? And it's like and here's the other thing. It's like I have watched in class after class after class as people have come in with like what they think their problems are and their limitations and the wrongness of them. And every single time they bring that stuff kind of to the feet of consciousness, and they go, yeah, but this is wrong with me, and this is holding me back, and I can't do things because of this. When you bring that to a space of no judgment and to interesting point of view, it can't even stay present unless you keep choosing it. And when people are willing to choose the space that's beyond all of that, they actually melt into this beauty that is them, that allows them to have and be and choose and create everything that they've been asking for. Everything becomes possible in that space.
Yeah. And I have to say thank you, Crystal, because you are so the invitation. Like just in your journey of, choosing your gypsy consciousness tour, it has been an invitation for me to choose and to be an interesting point of view of all those the little things that pop up that tell me that it's not possible. So thank you, for being the invitation. Like, it's so grateful. Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's crazy because I really didn't know what me choosing for me would invite other people to, and that's what
big. Like, do you feel that? It's like, wow.
And I really want to invite anybody who's watching. It's like, what if you choosing to be all of you and to be the greatness that you actually be is the invitation to the rest of the planet choosing that too? Like, what if that's what it is?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have some of that.
Yeah. So I want to invite everybody who's watching to my Beauty of Being telecall. It's March 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It's going to be at 3 o'clock Pacific time every single day. It's 3 days in a row. And I called it a telecall and an energetic journey because I really get that a lot of this being stuff doesn't necessarily have a lot of words. And yet it's kind of like what we're creating right now with this conversation we're having. Like, the energy that we're being is palpable. And that is the invitation for you to choose more of you, and it's the invitation for you guys watching to choose more of you, and it's the invitation for the people in this coffee shop to choose more of them. It's the invitation to everything that it is that you have ever requested or wanted or desired to create. That if you'll just let this energy that you be own you, and you just become willing to follow it relentlessly, fiercely, that you can actually have exactly what it is you desire at the speed it is you require as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you guys are invited. You're invited to the journey of you, which, if you choose it, could change the whole planet.
Yay! Yeah. I'll be there.
I'm so thankful for you, Maggie. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
And thank you for the space that you be in my life and in my business. And I'm so grateful for everything that you are that just expands everything that I'm creating. And so thankful that, as we choose to play with each other and contribute to each other, that it just gets greater and greater and greater. It never gets less. And for all of you guys, watching and now and in the future, what invitation can you be to the whole planet being more of them, and to the beauty that they be, and everything that doesn't light it, choose and be it, stir it and create it, right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all sure, it's forward and beyond. Cool. Well, Maggie, I will see you later on.
Yes. See you soon.
See you soon. And everybody watching, thank you so much for tuning in. And
thank you.
what can we do now and create now and receive now that we've never been able to create, be, or receive before? Mm-hmm. We will talk to you soon. See you later.
See you later. Bye. Bye.